everyone, and welcome to Get Celebritized. I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, and I am so excited to bring you amazing guests every single week that help you earn more so you can live more, live a big, vivacious, wonderful, juicy life, and you can give back more to the causes and charities that matter to you. And today I've got an exciting gentleman coming on who has my heart in what he does in helping the world's oceans and nature and adventure. He's amazing. I'm bringing you Kent Swampy Glade. We'll find out about his name in a moment. He is a passionate influencer, a motivational speaker. He's on nature and adventure. He has a passion for the world's oceans, nature, and everything to do with helping our ecosystem. And I'm going to bring him up for you now so he can explain to you where he got the name Swampy and what that's all about. So Kent, come on up. Here we go. Do you want me to call you Kent or Swampy?
Just call me Swampy. That's what folks remember.
I love it. So let's start right there. How'd you get the name Swampy?
Okay, thanks for Aurea for inviting me on. Appreciate it. My main thing was I was got my degree in forestry at UK, and I got a job on with the Kentucky regulating the coal industry for 12 years.
Wow.
So if somebody wanted to mine coal, they have to look at the hydrology, geology, taking that up. That's overburden. They blast that off. They get the coal out, and then they put that back. Okay. So while doing that, I just got involved with the soils, the waters, and they had a Halloween gig where everybody could dress up during Halloween, right?
Okay.
You know how those are during Christmas or Halloween?
Absolutely.
I got involved with Swampy. I'm like, this is the beautiful little ecosystems that are fragile and unique. I'm going to dress up as a living wetland. So I put all these things together. I made a costume, had blue for the water, brown for the soils, green for the vegetation. And then I got on rollerblades. I put a music box underneath it. And I could crank out the swamp sounds rah, rah, ee, 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 and make the music tunes. And then I, when it elevated, deliberate, it actually was like a living wetland coming through there. But really, it's just taking a bunch of the sciences. I love talking to kids about the sciences. It's an acronym. Swampy is brown for S. Waters are blue. A is animals, because they're like our lifeblood bio indicators. M is for mankind, womankind, not black or white, but silver, somewhere in between that. Next is P, plants, which of course are green. And Y is yellow for the sunshine for our youth.
Which is kind of like when you first came on the show, I loved your shirt. Show me your shirt.
Exactly. Here we go. Y'all can just see my shirt. It's got the blue for the water. See the brown for the soils and the green for the vegetation. And the big thing that I'm all about is I'm on the movement for making a global character for clean water and wetlands. We have one here in the United States called Smokey the Bear for Forest.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Aurea, I want to be able to do that globally. There's a lot of clean water issues. We have a lot about crisis. And I'll tell you about a few of the programs that we've done recently that are really neat that you can see on my Linktree site.
Oh, well, I'll put that up. There we go. There's your link tree. Go Swampy. I love it. I love it. So tell me, you say you teach kids. I love kids too. And I love that you help the kids. So tell me why you're teaching the kids, how important that is to the next generation and for sustainability, and exactly how you break this down so they understand everything that you want to tell them, why it's important, and maybe what they can do to help.
Hey, thanks for letting me know about it. My big thing was I came back in. We had the same problems that we have now with our environment. A lot of people are anxious when you hear the word climate. Well, guess what? Back in the 60s and 70s, when I grew up, we had the same problems. It wasn't climate, okay, but it was acid rain that would fall. Coal companies would burn it up. It would move over to like Canada. It would deposit into the Canadian waters, making them more acidic, right? So I grew up that generation. So we took actions back in the 60s and 70s, primarily under Richard Nixon, as we started what was called the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, National Historic Preservation Act, and Earth Day came around in 1970. So this was something that we were stressed out too. We had a national symbol in the bald eagle. And the eagle, the babies, the eggs were cracking, and everybody was concerned about our bald eagle and what would happen on that. They found out that it was connected to DDT, which was a chemical in Vietnam that got in the food chain. So we eliminated that. We now have healthy populations of golden eagles and bald eagles, and they're stories of success. So I'm here to share, and I'll tell you a very personal story of what's very compelling of why I'm doing this, bringing this forward, so that we don't need to be always anxious. We can hold each other's hands, use good science, okay, and use compassion and reaching out with culture and listening to the other person first and feel what they're saying, and then try to connect with them in a constructive way. So that's kind of really the way I've done that, and glad to be with you guys here today.
I love that. So you said there's a compelling story. Can you share with us the stories that, because you said you have like 2 really great stories that help tell why you're doing this and why it's so important. So I'd like to hear those.
Yeah, when I was young, I lost my dad at 1. I lost my mom at 12. I grew up in an orphanage for 6 years
Oh my goodness.
in Louisville, Kentucky, a place called the Masonic Home. One day I actually did meet Colonel Sanders, by the way. He's from Kentucky, right?
Oh, yep, there you go. Oh my gosh.
So that was a little trying. I was very close to my mother at the time. But, I was an outdoors person, so I wanted to get a degree in forestry. So I was able to do that. Then later on in 1997, okay, I'm driving home from Frankfort, Kentucky to Lexington on a Friday night. And while I'm driving home, I come head on with a 41-ton rock truck. And it impacted me right in front. And this is what I tell virtual stories about what it's like to go there. But the main underlying reason that I'm bringing this up, Aruba, is that I did not know. It was so compelling that I was almost didn't come back to this state, to the place where I had gone. And I kind of learned that life is so fragile and it's so urgent, and that in order for me to share the love and the passion and the knowledge, okay, that it became a more compelling, more urgent need for me to do this. And this is the reason when you check, again, my link tree, you'll see all the neat, fun things that I do with kids and making wetlands fun, clean water, and Earth Day. So yeah, it's something like you really learn, about how fragile life is, what it's like with an NDE, near-death experience, okay, and how I used faith and science to help move me forward.
That's, so I hear this a lot on my show, and I'm one of them too, because, I almost, I had cancer, almost died from the chemo. And we have those moments where you realize life is so fragile. And I was 38 years old. So you think, oh, we're going to live long life. You just think, future, great. But at any moment, things could take a turn. I was also in a head-on collision. Again, this was just last year. And these are these moments that, and it wasn't a Mack truck, but my airbag went off, and it really jars you. I mean, when you get cancer, it's like, okay, it's terrible. I'm going to fight this. I can do it. But when you're in a car accident, it's a different impact. It's like split second, no warning, you could be gone, or your family could just be devastated. So that really made an impact as well. So when this came to you and you're like, okay, life is fragile and I don't know how long we have on this planet, how did that get you started now into what you're doing? And how did you move forward? Tell us some of the steps, because I know a lot of people that watch are like, okay, I really want to make a difference. I have something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
How do you get started in making the difference and building that awareness for whatever cause it may be?
Yeah, thanks. I have a couple of different steps that I've learned in the process. One of the things that I had not done earlier was I read a book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth. And I learned the importance of being present in the now. A lot of the reason that is our mind will actually, that's what's called the amygdala, it will default on our past history. And if we're trying to change ourselves and we don't take time to breathe just for a second and see where I am, your mind, your amygdala will automatically decision based upon your history. So very frustrating if you're trying to move forward, okay, and you haven't taken that step before you made your choice, okay, and then it's very frustrating because you keep going backwards instead of forwards. So this is what I learned in Eckhart book, and I encourage you to read that. In a lot of ways, it really helped me to be present and to see in a new way of life, okay, that I wanted to have a different way of being. And in order for me to do that, I had to reprogram my mind using love and mercy rather than fear and judgment as much, you know what I'm saying? And connection, because again, we're so fortunate But our planet is so perilous right now. We have so many different things that are compelling right now that we need to act on. And that's what I'm here to share is my knowledge.
Absolutely. So what was that? Okay, so that happened. You got your mindset right. What was the first tactical action step you took when you say, okay, I need to launch and make a difference? Right. What was that action step?
That action step was going within into your heart and what your mind was. And you know what I did? This is kind of the neat thing at my age. I'm like, what am I going to do when I get older? And I'm like, well, what do I want to continue working all my entire life? And I said, no, I'd like to return, become well-versed in your subject. Okay. Write yourself a book, get on social media platforms like OWL and Clubhouse and LinkedIn, become an expert on your subject and connect with people globally and make your subject your passion. And when you go and speak, okay, compel people, telling good stories, okay, but also sprinkling in a little bit of science, right? So have a little fun at it and make connections.
Making it. So was your first step, because you said that accident was like in 1997. That's pre-social media. So now we've launched into social media. Are you saying social media was your first big step into becoming the influencer that you are now? Because you're a motivational speaker and an author, all the good stuff. Is that a really good step if somebody's watching to say that was your first step?
Probably. I didn't think about that as much. It did come a little bit later, but it was an evolution because I was going out giving speeches virtually, not virtually, but on site.
Yeah. You know? Good old days in person.
And mostly like podcasts. I did one on WLXU in Lexington on Earth Day. We had 8 different days. We talked about 8 different topics of Earth Day. And I had some of the best influencers, speakers on different topics. For example, we had one on wetlands and clean water. I had Dr. Bill Mish. He's one of the leading international wetland specialists. And we got a chance to collaborate inside of a studio, okay, rather than on video.
You know, good old days. I tell my clients this today, get back on stages, because so much virtual now since we went through the pandemic. Everything is online. All these events are online, which are great. But if you can get up on those stages and meet people in person and they can shake your hand and you can have those side conversations when you get off that stage where you really can build that rapport that you don't get in this, because I do a lot of virtual events and I'm speaking on so many of them. And then when you're done, your camera goes off and then the next one goes on. There's not that behind the scenes going on that I missed. So do you agree that people should get back up on stages and meet in person? And is that working for you right now as well?
Yeah, it is. And it's something that we learn as we move forward. If you have a love for something, then we do what's called taking risk, RISKS. And that's basically how we learn. But we have to pre-program our mind. And some people say, well, you have to fake it until you make it to some degree. If you really want to be that person, okay, then you learn different ways. And the best thing is not to point fingers, okay? But if somebody says something, just like say 3 words, is that so? And that kind of releases that tension, and be open to learning new different ways.
Absolutely. You know, school is never out for the pro. Right. And I believe open minds, learn so much. And we never should stop learning and gathering information and not being closed-minded for, in any way. So I love that, because we're always constantly learning. As long as we're alive, keep learning. So with that, I love that you're a motivational speaker, and I love that you go into school. So tell us a little bit about where you go now and how we can help, and how you tell children they can help with the wetlands and, nature.
Hey, great. My big focus again is I teach kids K through 6, the introductory grades, about the basics of science, your soils, waters, animals, plants, etc. And then later on, 7 through 12, they may want to move forward towards like a collegiate career, etc. And then I teach them, the kids love water and getting their feet wet, or getting into creeks, and love animals. I'm like, hey, if you love water, you may want to consider becoming a hydrologist. If you love animals, you may want to be a zoologist or a veterinarian. Okay. Yes. And then what I do on that is it's called STREAM education. We have STEM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I added another one called R, kind of like stream for wetlands, right?
Uh-huh.
And I just basically incorporate a difference. The E is energy, and the R is for reading, writing, and English. 3 areas that the kids are tested, okay, on
Yeah.
their ACTs, right?
Right.
So let them curiosity rules, okay, and then let's bring in everybody, okay. Let's make it simple. I have a bunch of folks over in Uganda. The kids, they love Swampy. I've also written a book called Swampy and Friends.
I love that. I love it. This will help adults too, because I know you teach kids, but I love it. And I'd love to read your book. And I love it when it's that type of fun atmosphere where it's
Yeah.
not complicated, it's not over our heads. It's, this can be fun. And I can see even adults, loving you to come in and speak to them and their groups and women's groups to talk about this. And we can share with our kids too as well.
Yeah, and the other thing, real quick, is I used to do Swampy and tell folks what Swampy did, but I've really kind of learned to look at it rather than being proactive versus reactive. To some degree, I want to hear what the teachers want to put an emphasis on. I can talk all day about soils, this or whatever. I also incorporate history. I love history. And I talk about environmental protection, Gifford Pinchot, John Mueller, a lot of the building, Rachel Carson back in the 60s and 70s. I bring in great leaders in the environment too. We don't hear a lot about them. I think it's real important we start talking about them.
Now, when you go into the schools and you speak, do you still dress up as the swamp?
It all depends. Right now, my Swampy costume needs a retrofit.
But no, you take care of that for Halloween.
It's funny when you can take plastic and then do that, and then my mask. I need to have a little bit different type of mask, okay? Because when kids look at me, they're like, they want to touch, okay, but I have the sounds up, so it's like. And then sometimes I'll actually have something like dirty diapers or something on the outside, like a trash. And like, here, the kids, take off the trash, right? And then my water's glisten. I have like little sprinkles on the water, and they'll go, oh, and then I'll turn up the sound of an alligator.
Oh my gosh, you got to go on stages with that. That sounds amazing.
See those on YouTube.
Now you have the plastic straws. It goes what?
Yeah, you could see those on YouTube, by the way. My YouTube.
Awesome. I'm going to. That's, I hope everybody else will too, because that's so important, especially for the kids to see the garbage. When you said dirty diaper, right. I immediately thought, wow, those things just never biodegradable. It's got to be other ways. I think plastic bottles, and I think straws, and our turtles, and just so much.
Right.
So with all of that, because I've been thinking about this for many years now. I used to live in Florida, and recycling was the norm. The recycling truck came with your garbage truck. It was a normal thing. It wasn't a question. Do you or don't you? We all recycle. Now I'm here in Georgia, and you're lucky if you can find somebody that comes. It's extra cost, or we have to package up everything and take it to the recycle.
Wow. Yeah.
The harder you make it, the less people are going to do it. So we do it for a little bit, then we get busy and we can't get to the recycling place, and you end up throwing away. And I hate throwing away plastic and not recycling glass and all of that. So what can you talk to us about how we can help and really make that difference if we don't live in a place that maybe has that wonderful recycling system just in place?
Yeah, there's some basic things. Real quick, I want to talk to you. When you mentioned waste, I was able to help out with FEMA. A lot of folks may have heard of Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
And Hurricane Wilma. I was deployed to South Florida. Wow. Miami-Dade County, where they have the largest recycling center in the world.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they reprocess. It's right next to the Everglades, right next to
Alligator Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it well.
But they took all kinds of stuff. I'm like, wow. Well, they had disasters previously. Katrina came as a wet hurricane, wet damage, and then Wilma came with a tight center, and then they had wind damage, right? But I was able to see exactly how they did that, just as an introductory in response to what you're saying. But the main thing is, like what you're saying, what kind of neighborhood, okay, am I in? What's required of me? If it's not required, what else can I do? And an example of that would be like do some composting, okay? Get you a little garden, start putting your scraps into the composting, stir it up, create the organic matter, okay? And that way it will decompose there. And then you'd be surprised if you can take your plastics and your paper and your cardboard And just for a curiosity sake, if nobody has it around there, then you can go to your local government. I was an urban planner, by the way, as well, and talk to them. Okay, where can I deposit this? And sometimes it's not that far. And if you're out and about, okay, when you do that, everybody contributes. But you mentioned single use plastics, something we only have so much space, folks. And a lot of times when they want to dispose of this, they want to use wetlands, which I can tell you about, okay, which we have lost. Kentucky's lost 95% of its wetlands, and we need to protect those. Yeah, so.
Wow. What happens? Talk to the viewers about what would happen if we lost more of our wetlands.
Yeah. Wetlands are actually, if you think about it, there are three to four different water bodies. We have marine systems, which are real salty water, okay? And they're right on the fringes of where the water hits the land at a certain depth, where the water table moves up and down. So that's the first one, like say the Atlantic Ocean, talking about the Amazon. Then they have estuaries, okay, that are discharging, right, fresh water into the salt water. So we have a mixture. And then we have species that can live on that. But again, right next to the edges, like the Chesapeake Bay, those are real important areas as far as pollutants, right? And then you have more fresh water moving up towards the mountainous areas. You have lakes, okay, which are fresh waters. That's called lacustrine. And then we have what are, excuse me, I meant rivers. Riverine are rivers. Lakes are lacustrines. But yeah, those go back and forth. And sometimes the neat things about them are they have plants and animals that can only live in those stressed out areas. It's typically about 3 feet below to 3 feet above. And some plants cannot live without water. We call that anaerobic, right? So if you want to hold your breath, some can do that and some plants cannot. Then we have animals that their homes have been destroyed, okay, because we developed those. And that's their last places of refuge. So a lot of it gets back to endangered species, Aurea, as well. So we talk about endangered species, invasive species. Love talking about Florida, the Everglades.
Yeah, that's great. And do you take do you ever, when you go into these schools, you go talk, do you ever take kids and their parents on a field trip? Do you do anything like that? Because I could see this would be a really fun interactive type of learning where we can also see it, feel it, touch it. Do you feel that would help us learn even better and make it stick even more?
Yes, I like that. Get sticky or more yucky, right?
It's swampy.
Well, for example, like next to us in Louisville, I live in St. Matthews. You got a place called Brown Park, okay? But as you walk through, it has on the waterways there, it has ducks and geese, and it's got a bridge that goes over the stream, and I would go underneath that, and I would just sit right next to the ducks and geese, and I would just watch them carry on. And guess what? I had a dog, a Catahoula, okay, and she would just get all nervous, right? And the ducks would almost come within 3 feet of her. Quack, 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 quack. And then goose go like this. You know, so there's two different kinds.
The dogs. So tell us now, okay, you are a wealth of information. I mean, many of the things you said, we can understand. Some were a little bit probably over people's head. Okay, what is that? But you're making it so easy to understand. Where we're talking about the wetlands and conservation. Most people, we all understand that. We understand recycling and the importance of our wetlands and nature in itself, and taking care of every species, every animal is so important. So what would you say to us if we could do 2 or 3 things that could make a difference, that when you go in and you speak to schools or into events, what are the takeaways? What would you like for us to know that we could do to take action or to make a difference? If we could only do a few little things, what would that be that we could do right now today that would help?
The best thing I could think of is I like getting with kids. Your parents are interested in your kids. Your parents are interested in buying, okay? So talk to your parents, okay? Ask the parents what they've done, or like we talked about in our past, okay? What they've done in the past. The big thing is like conservation, okay? Buy less plastic in containers and perhaps buy more like in cardboard that will biodegrade more, right? And be proactive in your schools. Start talking about an interest, okay, in climates and fossil fuels and how we need to have a future. I've got 3 grandkids. They recently moved to New Zealand, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. And in New Zealand's real interesting, real quick. They have the only natural resource. They have a river that has own private rights. You know what I'm saying? They
Wow.
have their own rights as a river.
That's
And it's
fun. We
like,
don't have that in America?
no, we don't do that. But yeah, check that out. But the thing is, like, kids, get into the environment, get out into your creeks, ask if things are safe. Okay. The main thing is connect with kids and then find a way to connect with me online. Okay. And we actually have different visits. Again, the link tree, what I've got free bookmarks. Okay. I've got a swampy book that I give out. I have a free prize, if you will. I sent one of my two of my swampy books to a 250 child orphanage in Western Uganda, and they love swampy. But the problems that they have, Aurea, they have lost a lot of water. The water that they had for farming, they can't farm now. And then the water they use for drinking, it's squalid. They have to go to a musky swamp, and it's not drinkable. So we need to keep them in mind as well, and have them have the best life that we can as well, while we're trying to improve our life. Do that globally.
Great information. Great answer. And I love that your link tree, Go Swampy link tree. It's right here on the bottom. You can see that. It's just, I've never seen a link tree so chocked full. I mean, most people just have, like 4 or 5 places you send people. Yours is chocked full with great places where they can get, where they could join your communities, whether it's Clubhouse or the OWL community or social media. You've got your books on there. You've got so much information. So I really encourage everybody, just go to this link tree, Go Swampy, and see all the wonderful ways you can help, the ways you can, plug into Swampy. And do you still love going into schools, or do you also go into adult venues and talk to us parents?
I do.
And our kids. Tell us some of your favorite places to go to talk to us parents.
Well, the things that I will have events like at museums and at zoos.
Oh,
okay.
Great idea.
And then also I like to present also at businesses. And I interact with business to help them spread the good word. That way they have the Swampy seal of approval, right? That they're showing interest and love for clean water, and that I can let people on my site know about what they're doing, and that they can support me. And that way it can gives them good public relations, PR, and it gets them talking. A good example of this is we have a Toyota motor plant in Georgetown, Kentucky. And they're very conscientious about climate and energy and clean water, but they're also interested in the kids as well. So we have a lot to do. I've got a lot of fun things. Let me talk to you, Aurea, about my website real quick. It's broken down into like Swampy States, Swampy Stories, Swampy Social. I've got a Swampy Safari there for the kids, right? I've got a place there for Swampy Songs.
I saw that. That's so cute. What a great brand.
You live in the Georgia Aquarium, okay? And I actually went there.
I love the Georgia Aquarium. I've been there many times.
Yes. So there's like a song about you see the floating jellyfish, right? So I'm singing a song about moon jellies. I'm singing to a moon jelly, moon jelly, moon jelly. And I've got that on video. And this is what people to relax. Each one of us has a little boy and a little girl in us, okay? And we become so stressed out. There's a great way to live life, okay? And still feel good about your future and your grandkids.
For sure. Gosh, I love that. I wanted to talk to you, bring you on the show because I love animals. I love nature. I love the oceans. Dolphins were my favorite animal forever. And I've had a kangaroo. I've had a llama and horses and sugar gliders. And I would just have a zoo if I could. And I want so much to help our world be better. I hate plastic straws. I hate, anytime I have to throw away a plastic without recycling, it just, and many times I do, just for whatever reason. You're out and about, it's like, oh, I just want to recycle everything. And you wish that everybody else would help. There was a great documentary on that too that really honed into me. And I can't remember what it was, but it was talking about this whole future of, we're running out of space and we've got to recycle. I mean, just simple. We all know it, but how many of us actually able to do it? And I wish cities and states would make it easier, like Florida does. Florida really made it easy. It's second nature. You don't have to worry about it. You throw away your garbage and the recycling bin comes and it's 3 bins. It's like a way of life, like many other countries have it as well. What is the best country? Do you know what the best country is that does recycling the right way, where everybody just has it at ease, that are just really making a bigger difference? Is there anybody
My understand. I just saw this the other day, and again, check this on my Swampy Stories. It'll have different ones. I think Finland, they're trying to go carbon neutral by 2030. Okay.
Wow.
So a lot of the Europeans, I did want to share with you guys something very exciting recently that we did on Clubhouse. Is that okay if I just share with that?
Absolutely. Yes, go for it.
June the 8th, we had World Ocean Day. Okay. And rather than we had like 30 to 40 different eco groups on Clubhouse doing their own thing on the same day last year. I'm like, this year, why don't we all get together and do one event with 18 different houses with presenters? So sure enough, we were able to do that. We started at 6 a.m. in Denmark. Okay. And they talked about deep ocean mining. Okay. They talked about their fisheries, about the North Sea, et cetera. Then we went there and talked about ocean ecology, ocean education for kids. Then we went through the different ones. We talked about plastics and oceans and the different ways that we can minimize that. Then we actually talking about Florida. We talked about the Everglades internally and externally off the oceans and dangers to that. We talked about the Amazon River, dangers to that. We talked about the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole, and increasing seawater. So if you guys get a chance, again, on my link tree, it'll have World Ocean Day on Clubhouse. When you click on that, it'll have the global advertisement banner that we had on there. From there, you can go to a website that has the topic, the speaker, and the resources of all different 18 hours. And then if you actually want to hear the replays, you go to Swampy Twitter, scroll down, and you can hear the replays of those different talks on my Swampy Twitter account. So put a lot into it. A great mobile force. The last thing, Aurea, what I tell you, but this is what we need to do globally. People are saying this. Everybody getting stressed out, but we need to make the environment front and center like we did in the 60s and 70s. And at that point, okay, these other things are important, but whether we're talking about nuclear weapons, okay, or whether we're talking about poverty, whether we're talking about food security, et cetera, environmental justice, okay, all these come to light under the some umbrella, right? So I connect with folks on Clubhouse. I need to talk to you about Al as well.
But yeah, and Owl and Clubhouse, I love it. And if the viewers don't know what Clubhouse is, because it's kind of not as many people know about that social media platform. And I have loved Clubhouse for the last 3 years. And we're doing this interview at the end of 2023. And it really was taken off during the pandemic. And I'm still on there to this day. And I do love, because it's an audio app and we're talking about rooms and houses. It's where Swampy can have a room and talk all about this topic, and people could come in and join the conversation. Such a great way to do that. And it's all audio, so you don't have to worry about putting on lipstick or brushing your hair. It's audio. You can be in your bed, because Denmark it's 6 a.m., but you're midnight, and everybody across the world can have these wonderful conversations. So my question to you on that note, because Clubhouse is still there. I know it's gone through a bunch of changes or whatever, but I still love it. You still love it. And we can make the best out of anything. We don't have to say, well, it has to be the most popular place in the world. We can really make a difference on any platform that any of us like. And we do love Clubhouse. Why wait till, let me ask you this. Are you going to wait till the next World Ocean Day or something like that? I thought that was such a great idea. I'd hate to see you have to wait till World Ocean Day. Is there another day, maybe in January, where you could bring this all together? Because I'd love to help you promote it, let people know it's there. I love marathons, because marathons really just have such excitement to it. We've done some marathons on the before, and you can be streaming it on LinkedIn, streaming it on Twitter, which is now X, and really just get the masses together. And what a great idea you did. You brought all these leaders together. Instead of you talk on your platform, you talk on yours, you say, let's all come together, one big marathon, and you'll have so much more impact, and you'll share each other's audiences because you're all doing it for the same cause. So what's your future for it? Can you do more and not just once a year?
Exactly. Well, we can do that. And a lot of people don't really realize, each one of you all may have seen something. Every day seems like it's on a different subject. Okay. I saw, for example, recently we had World Mental Health Day. How does mental health turn into the oceans? Guess what we did, folks? We had 1 hour on sustainability leadership, in which we just took a time. We played ocean sounds, okay, that were coming in, right? We're able to meditate. We're able to breathe in and out like with emotions, okay? Played a little music. And we envision ourselves being there on the beach or being in the Amazons right next, listening to animals, all these different ways. And that's just one example. And we were strolling from room to room. That was like you're saying, we talked about ocean education with kids. Then guess we talked about the Great Barrier Reef in Australia towards the very end. And then one of them, we had like, one of the topics was by fourth sector impactors, can AI save the oceans? Artificial intelligence. You know, we incorporated AI in the top. And it's great. People don't know the things they're using for AI to help the environment.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? You just gave me an idea on, you know how on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and you can find any sound. You can find, you know, nighttime sounds, crickets, waterfalls, rain. My daughter loves to go to sleep to YouTube and falling rain. It's literally this loop for 24 hours, falling rain. And you can get one that has more stormy sound, more gentle. Imagine, I don't know if you could do, well, you could do this. You could have a 24-hour streaming of swamp sounds on Clubhouse.
Oh, yes.
We could just turn it on because it's audio. You could do that. And because I know somebody does melodies and there's always jazz going on if you just want some nice jazz in the background. Have you ever tried doing that?
You know, you've brought up something. You've heard a lot of things that I'm doing, but I've got to share one more thing because you're in Atlanta, the home of media, right?
Exactly.
I grew up watching a show growing up called Captain Kangaroo.
I did too.
Was that show fun or what?
I love Captain Kangaroo.
We had Dancing Bear and Mr. Green Jeans. But it was a safe place. Like with Mr. Rogers, guess what? We don't have Mr. Rogers anymore. No. And we don't have Captain Kangaroo. But I'm trying to get a TV put together called Swampy and Friends.
You should. Absolutely.
And I've already got my friends, my Hydric heroes. I've got my friend Old Cypress. Okay. I've got Swampy, the princess, the swamp princess. She's a dog. And we bring in all these fun things with kids. And that way you're incorporating science, getting them interested, curious, and also bringing in also folks with disabilities, okay? Mm-hmm. Everybody, it's inclusive to wherever they can be. So that's the other thing. Obviously, with our smartphones, if we can do things in a smart way, we can reach out to a lot of people.
You really can. And we're going to have to talk offline because I'd love to have that show on my Limelight network as well and put you out on Apple TV.
That'd be fun.
Be so much fun. Then I'll show you how I did my award-winning show and how I got it on other stations and how that all works. So we're going to talk offline because if you want to make that happen, it is very, very doable. If I can do it, you can do it because you're so passionate about it, just like I was when I was showing my TV show, Living Legacy TV. It was telling good stories about nonprofits, the heroes that are doing these wonderful nonprofits and making our world a better place. You could so do this. I'm so on board helping you. So we'll talk offline. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. He's going to start his show. It's going to be everywhere worldwide. We're going to have Swampy and Friends. The world deserves to have Swampy and Friends out there. So we'll make that happen.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. When I first saw you on OWL, okay, I'm like, she's doing all this, and I know Atlanta's fairly close to us. We're in Kentucky in the southeastern too. But yeah, just doing that.
And you don't have to be here.
Huh?
You don't have to be here locally.
No, exactly.
Which is beautiful. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I could have my own studio in Louisville. I've already got the ideas. I've got, 40 years of videos, graphics. If you guys get since Linktree, you can go on there and see a huge grizz come right up to our bus in Alaska.
Wow.
And I got to the point grizzly bear. I was in the very back. Okay. They had a car behind us. They had a dog and I had my camera and I saw a big, I guess like a mother grizz. She bounded over and you just saw how big she was. She came right behind us. There was a car. Well, guess what was in the car behind us? A dog. Well, the dog's barking, roo, 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 and the grizzly bear goes right next to it. So I'm in the very back, and I zoom in on her, okay? And so help me, the sun was shining. When the light hit her, her fur just glistened, okay?
Oh, we can see that on your
Yes! Just like the old Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins.
I loved him. Yes. Now, your link tree is really long. Which link on your link tree can I see that?
Yeah, that would be under probably my Swampy social. I've got Facebook, Instagram, etc., and I've got a YouTube there. Check it out on my YouTube.
I absolutely will. You know, one of my favorite YouTubes that I saw couple of years ago. I think it was during like the pandemic. I saw it. It was so beautiful. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. You know, unfortunately, one of my favorite people, Steve Irwin, died
Yes.
from something so like, you know, he wrestled crocodiles, but then he swims with stingrays, and then just a freak accident gets him.
Yes.
And people jokingly say, mom's probably going to die by petting something she shouldn't have, because I want to hug bears. And I hug bears and I touch everything. And I'm like, I had a black bear at my door. I go out to greet him. I mean, I'm just that way. I know.
Love
but
it.
There's a great YouTube on that showed this guy. He was obviously like in the back of the bed of his truck. And looks like it's got to be Alaska. He's on this lake. He's obviously fishing, because you can't really see him but like his feet. And then all you see is his camera. And he's not in the truck. He's in the flatbed of the truck. You show his camera, this huge grizzly bear coming up, and the guy must be just like frozen, but he's taking this video, and the grizzly bear is just there, sits down next to the truck, and you can see it's just like 3 feet away, looks around, then he gets up, and the guy, then you start hearing the guy breathing. And then the grizzly bear just kind of walks past him. And it's such a beautiful moment of man and nature that, no, we don't want to go up. I mean, I'm not being stupid, go up and hug a grizzly bear. Like, I would love to hug a grizzly bear. But in moments like that, you know, he stood still and they let it happen in a beautiful moment. Now, we don't want to go near grizzly bears that have cubs, and they can tear it apart. We know that. But that was a beautiful moment in nature. It was just like the right time. He must have been petrified, but it turned out to be such a great close-up shot of the grizzly bear that just was minding his own business there, with the guy sitting fishing, the bear, you know, wanted to get in on fishing.
Right.
But then he just walked away, and it was really, really cool. Look up man and grizzly bear, I guess, on YouTube. He's in the back of his truck. I'll never forget that. I was like, wow, if all our moments could be like that, would be amazing. But we know they could be dangerous as well. But that was a cool moment.
That's cool. By the way, there is a link directly on my link tree, by the way. You don't have to go to my YouTube video. But the other thing funny that happened was, since you mentioned that, Aurea, that grizzly, when it came right beside the bus, it went to a sign that said, "Don't feed the bears."
He's probably like, I can see him being like the cows in Chick-fil-A, crossing that out. Please do feed the bear.
It said that, "Don't feed the bear." It's right in front of the bus. This grizzly comes there and it starts scratching its back like this. I'm lying, and I've got pictures of this. And it's like a man in a bear suit. Like what you said, just walks off.
Go onto your link tree. It sounds like so much fun. I absolutely love this. Well, I could talk to you all day, Swampy. So I'm going to close this up and say, everybody go to the link tree, get involved, invite him to your schools, go to social media. He will have a TV show, because now that he knows me, we're going to make that happen. And if you all have ever want to have a TV show for your passion, let me know, because that's my specialty, my expertise, helping great people, whether it's a nonprofit or an entrepreneur, having their own television show to edutain their ideal clients, their audience. Swampy, you gotta help more kids, but you gotta help get to the parents to help the kids. So we're gonna do this. So as we close up, I love to ask this question, Swampy, and I know you're gonna have an amazing answer, because you are all about living this big passionate life. And my television show is called Live Your Legacy TV, which turned into a live event, a Live Your Legacy Summit. I'm all about helping people live their legacy, their life on purpose, and not just letting it go to when you're gone, other people figuring out what it was. So I'm going to ask you, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered when your swampy life is over?
Well, I will tell you guys this one funny story, be an example of what I wanted to be. We went on a cruise ship, and while we were there, I told them about what I did, Swampy. And the people that I talked to knew about Swampy. So that's an example of connecting with folks for what I'm doing, and also helping other people do your dreams. People can reach out with me. I'm willing to collaborate. I'm looking for sponsors to take Swampy to the next level. I have a place called Swampy Support, Swampy Socials. And by the way, Aurea, the YouTube is on my Swampy Studios. Folks, I had a iMac I had it since like 2008. Well, unfortunately, it crashed. So I've got a bunch of my information on that, but I'm not unable to accept that. But I really want to this is for folks who want to be a part of what I'm doing, okay? Who want to connect. And everybody has a uniqueism, okay? Like what you're saying is, okay? And let's help each other like what you're doing graciously to me. Thank you so much. So that's it. get a flavor for what I've done on Go Swampy. Again, I like to talk to businesses, schools, just getting the word out and using great creativity and having fun while doing it. Oh, the last thing I did want to share with you, Aurea, as well, Aurea, is talking about OWL. You can connect with me on OWL as far as Linktree, and I'd love to talk to you about what you're doing. And if you have any information or advice, I know that we are both members there as well. It's
Absolutely.
something new that we're doing. It's great. I was on Clubhouse. Now I've kind of moved over a little bit. Made some great, just it's unfathomable as far as what Jason had done. So I just wanted to share that. Also, if you have a specialty and you're looking as far as hopefully doing this for a living as well, yeah, check us out. Again, I've got a link on my link tree, and those few things I just want to share. There we go. And
I was going to mention that too, because I think it's really important. Because people so many times you have to go through social media or DM people, and the OWL app. I had the founder Jason Hill on the show talking about the OWL app. It's a wonderful new app. Again, we're having this interview in 2023, and it's been around a little while, but it's really picking up steam now, where you actually can call Swampy. You can actually call me, and people can call you as well, and you can mentor people. We're talking like $1 for 10 minutes or $10 for 10 minutes. So many times we'll have our prices as maybe $25 or $75 for 10 minutes to talk to us, when normally it would cost you hundreds of dollars to have us come speak on your stages. And then throughout the week, like Mondays, I love that Jason has us doing like $1 sale. So there will be times during the week where Swampy will have his prices lower. Connect with them. I'll tell you when. I like to do those Monday dollars too. So, but the best part of this is you can pick up your phone and you can actually have a conversation with Swampy, talk to him live on the phone. It'll say he's live. You don't have to feel like you're bothering him. You don't have to email, text, Facebook message, all the things, and figure out where he is, because he's right there. So take this OWL app and just download it from your phone. And if you want, you can put in the code Aurea and you can get $10 free. You can get some great people in there. And it's a wonderful way. Oh, there's my dogs. Wonderful way to talk to people again.
Yeah.
So
and yesterday, real quick, real example of this, we had an Halloween. Okay.
Yes, I was on that with Jonathan. I loved
and
it.
You were,
Tell us
and
about
it's creativity talking about what? February the 13th, right? Or Friday the 13th, right? So it was just fun talking to Jonathan and Jason and Tanya about that as well. So yeah, thanks for the fun chat today.
Pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. All right, if y'all want to talk to Swampy, get on that phone. You can call him, download the app. He is there. And that's actually how I met you, Swampy, is I found you on the OWL app. So it's really bringing people together without having to take all the long-winded ways to finally get a hold of somebody. By the time you down the road, you forgot about them. You just get right on the phone and it says I'm live. So I love that. I'm so glad I met you. This is only the beginning. You were going to take over the airwaves. You were going to make a difference. You're going to help kids, the next generation. And your legacy really is going to be helping, making a difference in all of this, and this conservation and nature and wildlife. So thank you for your service, first and foremost. And I'm so glad we are now new friends. And I will have you back on this show down the road, talk about where you've come and what things you're doing. And maybe right before Ocean Day next year, 2024, yes, we'll do this again, and you can tell us where we can go to be with you live next year.
Or April 22nd is Earth Day.
Is it? Wonderful. Yep. Let's plan on it. Let's do it.
All right, great. Thanks again.
Well, thank you so much. Let me put your link tree up one more time. That's the one-stop shop to go for everything that is swampy.
That's the morning dove.
That is great. I was afraid my dogs were going to get four dogs were going to start going crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're
Until
welcome.
next time. Thank you, Swampy. Thank you, everybody, for watching Get Celebritized. Go out there, make it a great day, and take care of our wildlife and nature, because they need us to help them. Thank you, Swampy. See you next time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye for now.